Well, I think the most important thing about tax reform is that we do something now, since it's been since 1986 that there has been tax reform and the tax code is so complicated. So really, if we're thinking about something fairer, flatter, and simpler, the president is going in that direction as well as us. We do have a few things that are a little different in our minds about how we should go at it, but this is just the beginning of the conversation. And I'm very excited that we would actually do tax reform, which we know not only helps the American people to have something simpler, but it also helps to stimulate the economy, which is a really good thing because people have more opportunities for jobs and more money in their pocket. And golly, we should all want that, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's our money. We should remember that no matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's your money. It's our money.
That's right. And we have had such an anemic economic growth over the last 8 years that we're just excited about the possibility of doing tax reform that will stimulate this economy and get us out of the doldrums of no more than about a 1.9% increase in our GDP.
Well, I'd be interested, and I'm excited to see that you're going to try and at least get rid of the alternative minimum tax. That tax has been with us since the late 60s. Every time someone's trying to get rid of it, there's been an excuse why it can't be done. Are you optimistic that we can get rid of, say, the death tax and the alternative minimum tax, for examples?
I am optimistic about both of those because it is both in our plan, was in our Better Way, and it is in our plan that we're working on in the Ways and Means right now, and it was also in the president's recommendations that he came out with yesterday. So those are two areas where you can see that we are very much coordinated in our effort.
Yeah, no, it is really interesting. And one of the things I found fascinating about the news conference yesterday with Cohen and Mnuchin is they implied that there is active negotiation already underway in Congress, that perhaps maybe some of these parts of the bill, if not the whole bill, have been given over to maybe the House Ways and Means Committee and to other senators where people are beginning to talk about and negotiate already. Are those negotiations, in fact, already underway?
We have had conversation with Mr. Mnuchin and also with Gary Cohen, the economic development individual in the administration, for weeks now. So we have been coordinating and talking about our goals and the perspectives of how we get there for several weeks, if not more than a month or two. And so those negotiations and concepts have already begun. And I think, again, it is encouraging that we see what the president put out was very close to and mirrored many of the things that we already had in our plan. So we're a long way from where people thought we would be in this short period of time in the coordination between the White House and our Ways and Means Committee. And I'm excited about that. We're going to see how much more we need to do before we can actually put a plan out there for people to chew on.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to handicap it specifically, but we've got about a minute left. We saw what happened when you tried to tackle health care reform. It went nowhere. It was a debacle. It was embarrassing to the president. He's putting forward a major piece of legislation. Do you think, your best estimation, that we can, in fact, A, get that legislation, and B, that it might be passed by the president's goal of August, by the end of the summer?
For the tax reform you're talking about? Yes. And I don't want to set artificial timelines. We did that with the health care bill, and that was not good for us. I think we ought to make sure that by the time we put this out that we have a lot of coordination and that we have really vetted that there are some areas that are more difficult than others. There are some that we can agree on rather rapidly, and you already talked about two of those. But there are other more complicated situations that we are going to have to work together on and make sure that when we do put it out, that it's something we've vetted and that we feel comfortable that this is something the American people will benefit by.
All right.